Peace, 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 peace. Greetings to all. I gotta set up this phone so I can talk to you, and oh, perfect. I gotta remember how to do that next time. Other times I be having the most difficulty. Woo! That's how you know something good about to come. Let me reach in here. You know how you got your charger plugged up to the phone? I need to get this chapstick, because y'all know I need my chapstick when I'm finna do a good video, a grand, magnificent video for you all. Greetings to all. Let's give honor to Source, the Creator, the Most High, God, whatever you want to see it as, whatever your preference is. Man, listen, this was itching at me so much in my soul. It's like, oh my gosh. Let's give honor to our ancestors known and unknown. All you ladies, young women, mothers, this is mainly geared towards a lot of you that are pretty much aware or conscious, or even, just to remind you from not so much a man, but from a man, from a little boy, from the inner child perspective, that I see you, I value you, you are vital. I'm gonna probably title this one that y'all are the glue, no matter what. This is really just a video of there's gonna be some accountability, some uncomfortability, because y'all know how I come. It's just what it is. And I'm just doing as I am told. I'm just a messenger. So I just know in these ever-changing moments, I'm gonna just go in whatever, is that a word, chronological? I don't even know where that word came from. Or not even, just a order. It's just gonna come out. Especially for a lot of you mothers, and I'm gonna speak from a level of not just physical mothers, but also mother in the spirit. Now, again, y'all know I say things to hold y'all accountable, because, come on, get over here, get this lesson. There's a magnificent energy right now of not just accountability, but the self-awareness. Like, I realize a lot of y'all have been in such a vulnerable place. If there's anybody that understands, and I'm not saying it from an anatomy or, autonomy, if that's the word, biological lens of physically, I do not have cycles every month, but I do realize that as a man, we still probably go through things like that, in a sense of, not in the sense of the menstrual per se, or, but in our own, way internally, because we can be, and we have been a lot, hyper feminine, in a way to where now I'm realizing how important it is for y'all to mirror back and have mirrored back the importance of balancing that femininity. And that's speaking again from the emotional place, to where I've spoken about how we develop our emotions, our nurturing. Someone was sharing me the other day out of this book, How the Body Keeps a Score, and it was saying our first form of self-care comes from how we were treated as toddlers. And I was like, whoa. So again, this is not, because I know I just worded something, this is not in any way trying to make it seem like men can go through physically things that y'all go through. Not at all. This is about a man who has been given this this awareness, this to be more in tune with himself and to know and have more awareness of where this matriarchal societally is going and being rebirthed from. And I'm speaking from a man who has seen the little boy within him experience a lot of trials and tribulations from the women that he has endured from his childhood into, now. Seeing how much I even, haven't seen many smiles more than I've seen angry faces until like now that I'm growing into, have become more aware of who I am and grown into more of my adulthood, but not forgetting about that little boy and having to realize how much I wasn't nurtured, embraced, and so forth. And with that, it still allowed me to tap more into the emotional, intelligent aspect of who I am, which comes from the woman, which is rooted in, what we experience as men matriarchally. So let me start off by saying this: is that for those of you that didn't have a father present, I am sending the utmost loving, and embracing energy, compassion. And the reason I say that is because I presently have a daughter. And even though I'm what the divine has allowed me to see a perspective now to even be more aware of now how women, like when I see women now, I can see a little girl. I can see the fear that a lot of you, with some of you that did not have a father present, so you've had to almost parent, mother, and father yourself, learn from mistakes or go have shortcomings, did not have any type of direction on even how to vet, even growing up in cultures where you've had men solicited you, devalue you, one up you, manipulate you in so many ways. And there's never been and have nothing in place when you look at these corporations or businesses or whatever it is. A lot of you never had a safe place to even cry. You never had a safe environment to even express what has happened and what you've endured through so many years, let alone your grandmothers and great grandmothers and so forth, even your mom, because a lot of you, even though you probably didn't have a father there, you probably had a mother who generationally carried the same energy of resentment towards said you and or any other daughters that she may have had, whether unconsciously or subconsciously through probably through her own fears of you becoming something even worse than her. And some of you are at the how could I say this, like you've been getting the short end of the stick because of that. A lot of you probably had a mother present, or you probably had a mother who had a wounded ego or who was wounded inside. And so a lot of what I've seen a lot of women portray, whether they know it unconsciously, and this is why I share these messages of like the accountability and bring you to more self-awareness and how that you are the glue. You are the glue and have been the glue no matter what, unconsciously and consciously, of how these generations after you, said daughters, sons, and the foundation of that will prosper. I know man in himself, you're outside of these podcasts and relationship stuff, yada, yada, yada. This is different. I'm speaking to the little girl inside of you. The little girl who is afraid to show who she is to the world. The little girl that is afraid of herself because she has had so much anger. She has had so much built up. And her greatest fear that she has blocked herself from loving herself and even embracing herself. And so this has been an ongoing cycle of never really trusting or having trusting relationships. So I would encourage a lot of you that probably aren't into, whether you're on a spiritual journey, religious, I'm not here to judge. I would encourage a lot of you, for the first, mothers that this resonates with, women and so forth, to look into the chakra system, the root chakra, which is red, the sacral and solar plexus, which are orange and yellow. And when you look at this, look with the awareness of seeing how this connects to your life, seeing how this, the message that you get from how certain things have been blocked within you. And, a lot of things aren't your fault. I'm here to tell you it's not your fault. A lot of us were giving said parents, or a lot of things that we were offered young and exploited, and a lot of you that were exploited young to, um, sexual deeds, or exploited or exposed young to alcoholism. I can go on and on, abuse and so forth. And you never really had that person, whether it's a caregiver, a mother or father. I feel a lot of you carry a lot of resentment, or a lot of guilt and shame in these said areas, whether when you look at the chakra system in your womb space. So a lot of you haven't cried, haven't accepted this, and haven't truly grieved. And it's you that's keeping you stuck. It's not your mother. It's nothing outside of you. It's you. And again, it's painful as it may sound. There aren't, no one's coming to save you. I share this message because it's the awareness around, there has, wow, I just saw a van pass by. It says move beyond. And that's a perfect message. Like, you have to grieve this old version of yourself and move beyond even how your mother or father or someone who wasn't presently there, and move beyond that perspective in life. I've had the honor and privilege to grow up in certain demographics, especially darker shaded women, and to see that the divine was like, I want you to share this with particularly a lot of them that grow up in, these areas. Because a lot of us don't have, or haven't had, that person who will really hold us accountable. And a lot of us are looking externally, and have been looking for that father or mother to do that for us, to try to fill that void. And that being said, what I've noticed in a lot of these demographics are a lot of, when I look at the difference, but they're one and the same. But when I look at also how things are created and have been built, and the imbalance of why I've noticed how so many of our women, no matter their color and creed, but especially the darker shaded women that I grew up around and with, there's a big underlining, or a big internal issue with identity. And also a lot of sexual traumas have happened. What else was it? So there's a deep rooted self-hatred, and an identity crisis. And it's not to say that's not in other cultures and creeds. Most definitely it is. But when it really comes to liberating yourself, I encourage you to look into the chakra system and see how you can connect this to your own experience. Again, receive what resonate, let the rest fly. But I realize how much that has connected to a lot of what I'm seeing play out in my, not just my mind's eye, but in my physical. I'm sitting here like, whoa. Now, moving forward to certain other demographics where I see more of a community setting, or y'all know, you go across the tracks and you see these big homes and so forth. Now, this is to my lighter skinned women who prefer to call themselves white, Caucasian, Native American, whatever you want to call yourself. This is another thing that I really do see. And it's not just an identity crisis. you also have experienced sexual traumas that you don't talk about. And what I've typically seen, especially in these fathers who are typically military, there is, I believe it's a solar plexus where it talks about one of the things being is overactive solar plexus. It has a lot to do with control. And I was like, whoa. And when I look at how, and I'm gonna just how all this ties in. When I look at and have been observing how these husbands or men who have been in these environments where, you know, they actually have taken so much pride and ego, which is a wounded ego, which is also rooted in a lot of control, a lot of instability, who have drifted more towards external validation or things that have given them this false sense of identity, and you know, whether it's monetary or money. I realized that a lot of even with the men, these same issues show up, and so it literally reflects the partner that they're with. So what I'm getting at is that a lot of what I'm here to empower women on is that a lot of your awakening or your coming into your self-awareness wherever you are has a lot to do with your experiences with said partners, but most importantly, the partnership with yourself. Are you knowing that you're deserving of a healthy partnership with you first? A lot of you, again, in these dynamics, when I've seen these community settings, I've said this before in a setting where I grew up in Baptist or whatever, or grew up in these certain demographics where I used to question this so-called character or connection people have, this so much of an authority or attachment figure to the man, to the patriarchal aspect, and how it has put a lid or limitation on women in the sense of how they can even express themselves, feel a sense of sovereignty or liberation, or more so even how men have abused this said power, which comes from a wounded ego and wounded space of an internal, this internalized instability, or, you know, connecting to emotional insecurity, not really being secure. And the reason I say that is because as I become more in tune with the feminine and masculine aspect of things, that not being a man or a woman, is more so of that how men in these communities or even patriarchally have performed and how they have asserted said energy in a controlling, manipulative way, and how they have tried to um devalue women and almost in a way what's the word? I want to say emasculate, but it's in a way of like, how do you use it when you in a woman? Like, do you say defeminize? Okay, I think that's a word. Defeminize or defeminize women in a way. So when I mean by that, it's not that they're just all feminine. It's a way of how their masculine asserts or expresses itself. So when I look in these certain communities and I see, again, people who have a corporation or a country who has used colorism, who has used certain aspects of religion or a hierarchy to perceive or to portray, as you see this currently crumble, it is literally, women, my message is to you. This is a moment. This is a calling. This is a moment where you are called as the glue, as it's always have been. You are the, what's the word that's coming to me, like the way showers. But what has happened is that you've allowed, and it's what they say, like, what you've allowed now is what you will no longer allow. And this is a part of you hearing the encouragement and the power from a man who realizes that when I look at society, foundations, what nations and everything that has been built, why aren't men and women, little boys and girls, why isn't that peace? Why isn't there harmony? Why isn't that honesty? Why isn't that integrity? And ask yourself, women, I don't care what relationship, what beliefs you believe in, do you really deserve truth, integrity, honesty, harmony, and peace where you are within yourself? Have you honestly been honest with you? And a lot of you know. And the reason I say that is because I'm calling you to rise up within yourself. Because the tiredness and the frustration is because you know you haven't lived out your purpose or your soul's calling, or even more so, what you came here to do. Because you've allowed the patriarchal, and what you allow, you've enabled for so long and not anymore. So again, when I'm looking at these communities that have been so, what I see is, let's say, I'll give you an example. When I'm going to work out and I see stuff and I see, and again, this is just from my experience, I see a husband and wife, or I see people, but what I see is, you will see this trot with men, you'll see this proudness, but deep down there's a wounded little boy. Then you will see women who have put on a smile so long, which in all honesty, deep inside, it's a frown. They're unhappy. They're miserable. Because I ask women, at the core of who you are, which is nurturing and love, authenticity, the feminine aspect of you, the core of you is not to truly enable what you have seen transpire in this country. When you see men who have masquerade or covered up so proudly, and how they have treated not only you but your kids, and what have they also enabled in society. So who is also a part of the problem? You have to find a solution. It's you. And what I see is, I see little girls that are afraid. When I see a lot of women, they are afraid, whether they're together with someone or even when they're acting out, when they're trying to, throw this, barrage, or, act as if they're unbothered. And a lot of you have been silenced for too long. A lot of you have silenced yourself. You are afraid of the consequences. But you wouldn't want your daughter to go through that. You choose to stay. And that's coming from a man who didn't even realize at the time what I was not only hurting myself, but hurting the people around me. And you will see the unhealthiness in women who have trauma bonded or stayed in certain environments because that's all they know. And I'm here to tell you, it's not your fault. It's just what no longer will continue. It will and shall be exposed. I exposed myself to myself. And then even people in the past, when I wasn't aware, exposed me to myself. So again, when I'm seeing these, if you, that wherever you are, I don't care if you want to call it the hood or wherever, trenches, projects, wherever you in, don't even matter. Let me tell you, the only difference that you may see externally, that someone has more money, or has a different, they live in a different demographic than you. Let me tell you something. Those women are just as unhappy as you are with food stamps, love. Doesn't even matter. And then most of them are on it, but you will never know that. And that ain't even where I'm getting at. Where I'm really getting at, the difference that you see is that a lot of those communities and a lot of those women that are in those groups, societies, covens, I don't care, whatever you want to call it, a lot of them are people pleasers. I've seen this so much. And I'm saying this to the lighter skinned women. I see you too. Like, I was literally brought to observe, because I speak to all creeds and cultures. Y'all, a lot of you, when you look at the belief systems of that man, it disgusts you. A lot of you don't follow your ancestors, especially your grandmothers and great-grandmothers. A lot of you do, though. Now, a lot of you lighter-skinned women, fairer-skinned women in these said communities, and this is just, again, it's seeing a little girl. A lot of you are not even living out your dreams. A lot of you are playing housewives, and then now you're coming to the self-realization you hate it. You're disgusted by it because your identity is centered around it. You're playing housewives. You're literally just there for security, but there's no emotional security or connection. There's no depths. And this is from observation of being in these communities where I've seen men who portray themselves having a sense of power. They may have money, they may have the car and stuff, but there is no depth to them. And the reason being there's no depth to them because there's no spiritual connection. They don't have a connection to their ancestors. A lot of it is power-driven, ego-driven, wounded ego, the little boy in them, and their connection to their mother. They probably don't even have one, or whatever relationship they do have, it's probably unhealthy, so it's displayed probably most likely in you. So a lot of you, let me tell you, to people that are darker, don't get it twisted just because you see people that are in marriages and have these big rings. A lot of that shit is superficial. I sit back and observe. This is just exposing the fact of like how we all, especially women, I can see the little girl in all of you that's crying out. But you have been in 15, 20, 30-year marriages with someone that you know that probably needs therapy, that needs healing, that suffers with PTSD, that has some type of trauma or triggering, and you play it safe. You sat there. And a lot of your greatest fears is rooted in a lot of your abandonment wounds, a lot of your sense of security, the false sense of security. Just because he is giving you a house and he has money, that still doesn't mirror back, going back to the chakra system of the root chakra and so forth, and solar plexus. That still doesn't mirror back the truth of security within yourself. I've seen this play out through all women. I've had I've dated women of multiple cultures. Not all has been intimate, but in an intimate setting where it can be friendship, but not sexually. But just to hear like the depths or even hear where they come from, I'm like, whoa. And as I got more into depth about who I am and how I connect my mother wound, I can literally see it within so many men who even come off as tough guys, who even come off as macho mans or whatever it is, or they literally, only thing they can talk about is the military. Only thing they can talk about is their money. Only thing they can talk about is their sex and stuff like that, how they want to do these things to said women, or these weird obsessions that they have. So I'm bringing y'all into different worlds. People that are darker shade, again, outside of just skin color, I recognize in those demographics, typically, not all, but there is a deep self-hatred. And it's no different than in another community. Just because they have cars and all this other stuff, Okay, women that literally are hiding behind the makeup, hiding behind, these deep insecurities that they never having a safe place to talk about. A lot of women identity, they have no identity outside of being a mother. I'm just calling it what it is. They have no identity outside of being a mother. And when I look at both parties or anybody, the only difference is between the darker women and the women that are lighter. Some of these women that are lighter in their mind or in their, like, when you see internalized racism, they actually think that they have an advantage over women that are darker. Well, let me here to tell you, they don't. Reason being, the only slight difference, another difference is the women that are darker may not have certain access, financially to certain things or certain resources. But let me tell you something, women that are darker, from observing women that are lighter or lighter shade, they may have access to all these resources, but they don't even have a sense of identity. They don't even have a sense of security within self. And that's why you see some women literally try to be so much like something that they're not. And a lot of this is rooted in, again, goes back to, I forgot what was a book, but it was talking about a statistic where between 18 months to the year 4, a lot of, and I believe this is connected to the solar plexus or sacral, where it talks about how we develop our identity, how we develop, during that moment where we are in that, what is that, after 1 into 4, we are trying to, we typically, a lot of us are yes to everything, and then we hearing no a lot, or we hearing no, don't do that. So in that parental guidance or caregiver, we're mirroring back, we're learning this development of our own, not consciousness, but, well, that part of it, but self-confidence. So when I go to the root of, when I say about just these different demographics and get into the root of women, no matter their culture and creed, we actually believe that there's an advantage. I'm not saying that there aren't things in place that have been put in place, but let me tell you something. Like I said, I've been sitting back and seeing these communities. And let me tell you what is so wildly unfolding. The very thing people hate the most, literally, is going to be orchestrated for them to face. Their subconscious fear. Let me tell you something. Being in demographics where you have these communities of women who are particularly lighter skin, lighter shade, right? They actually, a lot of them have this perception of darker women as if they're all angry, if they're all malicious and evil. And in reality, they reflect the same energy. They just do it in different ways. Or more so, they'll actually build a community around with women that look like them. They'll socialize with women that look like them in the same tax bracket, whatever you want to call it financially, right? To uphold this false identity of self. I didn't say that they didn't work hard or do whatever it is to obtain their success, but a lot of them have gotten to where they've gotten to, right? Being with said people, but at the same time, a lot of them are wanting still to be something that they're not. I've sat around and actually sat with women. I'm like, I know so goodly that y'all want to even be a part of something culturally or something to have a sense of self. Again, a sense of self. But when I look at the demographics of people that are darker, they want a life of people that don't look like them. And again, a false sense of self, identity crisis. See, I call it because I call it like I see it, but at the same moment, this is from traveling. This is from people who want to bleach skin. This is from women who want to portray themselves but have no fucking sense of self. But will attack the women who are secure within themselves. Will project their everything onto women because they're not secure. And the demographics of women that, again, have been a part of this structural racism, structural internalized racism of all these corporations that you see crumbling, that eventually will have them being a part of women that they never wanted to face. Isn't that something? And then the thing about all of this is once y'all start realizing that you have so much in common, a lot of you, once you start to literally remove this skin suit, again, from seeing how it's oddly wow how, again, I'm sitting back looking through the lens and can see how, again, when I say y'all are the glue or the foundations to come, that also means that y'all are a part of, I don't give a fuck if you gonna build a community to keep people that don't look like you out. And you don't expect some type of karma, some type of retribution from that. When your kids will eventually have to see kids that don't look like them, and then they will come back and question you, and that would challenge your belief system. It's the same thing for darker people. Y'all will have this hatred or whatever it is towards people because you haven't challenged yourself to move outside, because you've allowed your internal blockages to keep you from exploring outside of said areas, from moving outside of said environments, from challenging and having a different perspective on life, and realizing that all women that don't look like you are all the same. And then another thing, it's so funny because I remember one time playing basketball, and I saw these, little girls that were, I'm gonna use the term Caucasian, or, just lighter skin. And I saw them over there doing a TikTok video singing I'm not going to name the artist because I don't want to get nobody no free promotion. Just singing a derogatory artist, a female artist, whatever. And them just saying the lyrics. And I'm just like blown away, like, what the fuck, bro? And they're no more than probably 10 or 11. I'm just sitting observing. And I'm like, wow. I wonder what they're going to grow up into. And it ain't even just that. It's just like, this is something I've also observed in communities where I see so much of the disconnect with a lot of our mothers, man, from the emotional space because of what they have. A lot of these mothers have a lot of father wounds and mother wounds. So when I say demographically, just because you're in a different space doesn't mean that this person hasn't married someone or is connected to someone, and the root of the underlining of that isn't rooted in woundedness, a wounded ego. I've seen a lot of women that are fair skinned that want to uphold this image in these communities. It's typically rooted in upholding an image. So what's happening is the collapsing of these structures in place that were never rooted on integrity, honesty, being honest with self, being, loving self and so forth, literally is mirroring back to themselves. Literally is mirroring back to them, their partners who have profoundly and proudly tried to uphold, again, an image of something of no fucking substance. Yeah, I said it. No substance. Because what is it teaching our youth? What is it teaching our youth? Huh? What is it teaching our youth? To continue to mask themselves, to mask their emotions, to keep, and that's what I see. In these communities where people come in there, it's like looking at a fucking circus show. You'll see people coming in, oh my gosh, hey, how you doing? Smiling, and deep down, you can literally see the deep sadness, shame It's almost like, truthfully, they're ashamed of even their partners. There's no type of really fun. There's no fun. And it's not shaming people. It's like literally calling it out. There's no fun. It's all the same shit, bro. In these communities, it's the same thing. Whether I go to the hood or whether I go to a certain community setting, okay, yes, they may have the big this and bigger that, but they literally come and congregate around each other. And literally, the hatred for themselves, or more so, there's no depth. And the reason I say there's no depth is because they haven't met themselves deeper than all this superficial material shit. This is your America. This is your America. Because there's nothing that represents the essence or inner child or fun when it comes to a country or places that is literally fueling greed. And that's another thing about the root chakra, the greed. A lot of your partners, husbands, they're greedy, self-righteous, selfless men, and you know that. And you don't even unconsciously realize you're succumbing to that. You're becoming that. That's why you go to these communities, build your own thing in a way to where it's centered around self-righteousness, greed. How much can I get so that they don't get it? Look at your country, women. Look at what you have enabled. And stop blaming other people. Some of you mothers, your daughters, your ancestors are awaiting you to speak up, to step out of a leap of faith, because then they can no longer harvest your energy in these said environments. You ever heard that saying, once you leave or once you depart from said place, the energy goes with it, as well as the protection? Some of y'all don't even realize how powerful you are as women, because you have no depth. You don't know the depths of what the fuck your ancestors did, what they've gotten through, what they're asking you to do differently. Women that are lighter, that you know what women that are darker have went through, women and men. But it's your internal blockages, your fear of you wanting so much of to be a part of just having an interaction with someone darker, but you're fighting this generational thing to where you knew that your grandmother and grandfather did not want that, but yet you don't love yourself enough to step out in that, to really actually want to get to know that person that is a darker shade, because your husband may not like that, because you know your husband or his lineage and what they were a part of. Same thing for people that are darker, too. It can be a different perspective. Some of you, again, I had to learn that through experience. Some people, oh, God, how dare he, da-da-da-da-da. What we done went through, again, I see both sides. I've seen a lot of the depths of a lot of things. I saw a lot of women who, just because of their insecurities, just because of the love they don't have for themselves, just because of things they wanted to hold on to, they purposely don't want their kids and keep their kids in certain environments because of their own self-hatred. And what are you doing? What are you doing? I've seen in the demographics, I've seen women who will have it. Your greed. You will have something. I've seen people who will have something financially, and just because their son or daughter is dating someone that their husband may not like, y'all have allowed the men in y'all life to fuck up your perspective, your belief system. You don't even have your own belief system as women, because you don't even realize how much programming, how much you have been dissociated and disconnected. I see women in these demographics that are of lighter shade in these communities. They have been so disconnected. There are women that I've talked to that literally are still trying to fight through a sense of being safe again with their inner child. And they have been in marriages and relationships so long because of kids, and that's what I've seen in these communities. All I see is women who stayed, no difference than women that are darker, who stayed in relationships for safety, for shelter, and were abused, were manipulated, and they stayed. They stayed. And you telling me that your ancestors or something within you is not telling you that you don't have the ability? Y'all might need to go study chess. The queen on that board can move anywhere. Everyone's a vital piece, but y'all are forgetting the fact of that y'all are the glue. A lot of y'all are the glue to the dysfunction in your community just because we don't see. And see, this is what y'all don't realize what's happening that's crumbling. Just because, and this is why I realize I've been brought to certain places. Just because y'all think that people are financially well off. Just because they're financially well off does not mean that they don't have some internal things going on. That's what I was telling someone, that's what scared, I'm not afraid of anything, but that's what scares me the most about these kids that's coming in that are in these homes. This is another thing. Y'all don't raise your kids. That's why all these systems are crumbling to school. Everything, I gotta call it out. So y'all know y'all got the message. So y'all say y'all didn't get the message. It goes as deep as soon as your kids coming out of your belly, a lot of you, depending on when they go to daycare, you don't even know the depths of that person that's caretaking your kid. A lot of y'all have had other women raise your kids. You haven't even raised them. You haven't even taught them much of anything. School has taught them who they are. They have no fucking identity. You have no identity. You have no belief system. This is also accountability and encouraging, because after I say this, it's about also encouraging you to dig down deep inside to see what is playing out here. You are the glue for the nations ahead. Men, if you have not seen, due to their wounded ego and how they have portrayed themselves and what they do in said emotions, they are not the best in emotions, navigating emotions in times of turmoil. I'm calling out to my mothers, the women, whether you are a daughter, a princess, whatever it is, I'm calling out to you. You know what's going on. That fear is rooted in your root chakra. That fear. Are you more focused on being stable physically, or would you rather be stable spiritually inside of you, secure with inside, or more stable externally? They go hand in hand, because the feminine principles of feminine energy is ever changing. And that's what's happening. The restoration, the rehabilitation of the matriarchal, that is balance. Both masculine and feminine energies. So again, your policing, your corporations, your school systems, all these things, there is nothing that has given women a place of security and safety. No matter if you look at the housing system, the financial system, everything in place. It does not lead to a place of peace, harmony, bliss, joy. There's nothing that has been in place that has given you all that, and you know that. So yes, your fears, your subconscious fears, everything will purge out of you to what? To show you are here to reestablish that. You are here to reinvent that. Because it has always happened through the matriarchal. And this is why my message is to women, the mothers energetically and the mothers physically. Because in order for our patriarchal to thrive in a harmonious, liberating, sovereign place of peace, in order for our sons as patriarchally to live amongst you matriarchally as mothers, daughters, grandmothers, and so forth, you are the first nurturers. You are the first teachers. You give us in our coming out of the womb space. You are also the healers of that. When you heal yourself, you're also guiding us from that feminine place. And then you are way shores in that masculine place. You actually give birth to that. It's in the unseen. And the unseen is also like, as a man, when I go out here and assert myself to do certain things, it's the mothers who keeping this shit together. I'm not in a position to be like, oh, I can do all this with the kids or handle all. Y'all are the glue. And it's meant for that. The truth is that you were tricked out of your positions only to be tricked back. Manipulation can only last for so long. Energy manipulated. Now what? Everything has been restored. Only for you to have a sense of awareness. You tricked yourselves. How long do you keep tricking yourself to believing that you're supposed to be in this? I don't care. Y'all honestly believe women that are lighter and darker, you actually believe that y'all were meant to be separated like that? That was orchestrated. This is what we're getting to. When you look at your militant men, when you don't even realize like how these men, when they go off like that, and when you put a man in a workspace and so forth, he is actually believing that he don't need the woman. As if we don't need your nurturing. As if you aren't a motherly energy naturally. And it is more when we need our backs rubbed in the sense of meaning like it's like a mother going up and her son is crying. The fucking patterns are the same. Are you okay, son? And that is not in an incessant way. We carry mother and father energy. Men are nurturers too. The only imbalance is that we have learned, we learned the opposite through our upbringing of what it is not to be nurturing. This is how you have abusers physically. Men who are impulsive because they've been around women who are not stable in their emotions, who have given them an imbalance in their emotions, who have given them a blueprint of that. So this is why you see your men in your prisons. This is why you think you're a man just because he goes into the military and he's all this and that and robotic, but still don't have a sense of emotional intelligence because the only thing they talk about is pride in what they perform. All driven towards ego and masculinity, wounded masculinity at that. Nothing that honors women. Nothing that honors. You won't ever see me support no shit like that. And I don't care who it is. Because I know the real commander-in-chief. I know who the real chiefs were. Before you thought it was just men that were women chiefs. All you women, all the stuff y'all been told, y'all were it first. Y'all were the blueprint. Who do you think gives these men the power to go assert themselves? A lot of you wounded women have enabled these wounded ass men. And then you cry about what you put out there. And a lot of these men, unconsciously, they're literally driven off that. Because their mother don't have a sense of them. A lot of our mothers haven't had a sense of awareness that you don't realize you're also enabling that boy to go treat the next the next daughter of a man's father or all these daughters the same way. And don't let me get on men too, because this ain't even about them. It's like, y'all, the cowardness of not even realizing that y'all just fading out anyway. That wounded masculinity, the pride in that. Y'all fading out anyway. I'm not even finna get no energy to y'all, because y'all take so much pride in your policing and all these other things, and all these things that, again, have wounded masculinity written all over it. And that wounded masculinity I've talked about in both women and men. We both have enabled that. So when there's no accountability, all of it will be exposed. You will see it on all levels. I don't care about who, what status. The wounded masculinity will be revealed through women and in men on all levels. So what's there to fear? There's nothing to fear, because you sit back and you realize, like, what's the driving force behind the bullshit. You see the driving force behind it. The wounded ego. The wounded masculinity. The people who really take pride, and you see the mental illness, like, well, they protecting and serving what? Protecting what? Y'all actually will protect these rappers, these so-called political people, protect. The world is a stage. Y'all will put all this security around these fuckers, these people, or whatever. But when it comes to our kids, in our mothers, the ones who are the glue to this generation, I don't see the military behind them. I don't see the FBI. I don't see a lot. Where they at? I don't see them behind, protecting the neighborhoods, making sure none of these kids, get harmed or hurt. And the mothers? Come on, man. Because they are wounded masculinity too. All of these things that have been fueled in the last couple 100 years. And this is why the Aquarian age is exposing all of it. Come on now. All of it is to protect the egos of a lot of these patriarchal figures. And also the women that are hidden also, no matter where you are. They're at the bottom of the pyramid now. We at the top. And the beauty of all of this is that it's all divinely orchestrated. A lot of you, just as mothers, y'all have to just go through this purging, this fear, these blockages, and realizing how much will pour into you all. And y'all know what y'all enable. Y'all know. You ain't gonna see nobody that don't look like me and come and hold you accountable. Ask yourself that. Why isn't your husband holding you accountable? Why isn't your husband encouraging you to go to therapy? Why isn't your husbands or your said partners who love you so dearly, but you realize they don't love themselves? They don't care about. If this person doesn't care about their well-being, to a lot of you out there, mothers, whatever relationships, whatever you're at, they don't care about you. If that person don't care about your inner child, and your inner childs can't even mesh, y'all can't even have fun, live amongst each other. And that's all this is on a grand scale. Look at all. You see what's going on? It ain't nothing but big ass wounded people walking around. Don't even know how to get along. Don't even know how to live amongst each other. You way off there in this community, hiding away, thinking that all things is good and gravy, but this divine retribution that's coming in, bring him in, bring this person in. Let me show y'all this is all a show. Let me show y'all this is all divinely orchestrated. And if everything you wish you could hide from, you're gonna be exposed. Ain't nobody exempt. No one's exempt. I don't care what status, what creed, how much money, none of that. No one's exempt. Y'all put all these people around to protect a fucking false image, and all the shit crumbling. Put all these people around, taking pictures of them. Who? So what? Y'all care. It is wild how people will care more about people they don't know rather than knowing themselves, and even the people that are closest to them. It baffles me how y'all care more about a singer or somebody or anybody, you mothers, y'all don't even like see the awareness of, how could I say this? It's like celebrating yourselves. This is why you don't celebrate truly yourself and the kid and your kids, and celebrate your loved ones. This is why you celebrate your holidays. You celebrate shit that has no substance. You celebrate things that have no substance, no depth to them. Because if you knew the depths, if you knew the root of it, you wouldn't even be a part of it. So again, in encouraging words and empowering words, when are you going to see yourself? When are you going to realize you're deserving of a healthier relationship for yourself? Because when you do, you'll realize how that shit will click when you are deserving a healthier things in this, in your, not beginning with you, and that will span into your tribe, family, clan, whatever you want to call it. That will span into your communities, that will expand more globally. Until then, stop complaining. Where's the self-awareness? Y'all sat back long enough, right? Don't get confused by the distractions. Those are distractions. That's just a part of the divine order of what's coming in. And I'm gonna be honest with you, a lot of these elders are not here to do it. They're on their way out. They're on their way out. They were a part of that said corruption or dysfunctionality. They were a part of that. What are you gonna do this time around? A lot of you know y'all are a part of things that when you look at the depths of the belief system, it doesn't reflect you at all. At all. Not to what you want to creating and what you want to build. I'm trying to think what in my notes. I was writing something and it was speaking about how, again, the reason there are nothing in place that creates, something secure and safe, because y'all don't even feel that you deserve that within yourselves. So how are you going to create that externally? You got to ask yourself that when you lay down at night. What are you doing? How are you going to create that? And that's when you get out of your comfort zone. My focus is, which is already beautifully unfolding, is how there will be things implemented where women will have and will create a space not only for themselves, but there will be things in place where y'all again will be able to commune amongst each other, and then be able to create safe places, secure places for yourself and other mothers with their kids. Y'all don't even see how divided y'all are. Y'all don't even see the false illusion how people can give y'all this false sense of authority, can tell y'all like, oh, united we stand, divided we fall. And y'all don't even realize how divided y'all being amongst yourself. When you divide another woman or a person because of their creed, color, status, and stuff, where's the unity in that? Y'all don't like people calling y'all, it is what it is. Nothing can be hidden no more. But that's the thing. Y'all don't want to see the structural racism in your businesses. And, I see this shit a lot. I've seen this in communities where I travel and see how certain women are lighter shade. Y'all don't, come on, let's call it out. Y'all don't even want to deal with people that are darker. And y'all hide behind it. Now your money is being affected because of the energy you put out, the seeds you planted. And notice how this is the retribution. A lot of things is just to bring you to people that probably will have it. Isn't that something? Isn't that something? I would sit there being communities where I asked people, I was like, it's funny how people can have all the resources but still be unhappy because y'all don't want to accept. And it's not all, but people don't want to accept the racism is so deep in a lot of these places, is that they only want to see a certain people thrive. And the truth is that how can you thrive off something that is not authentic? How can you thrive off something that's not built on fucking integrity and honesty? What do y'all think the meaning of integrity is? And then the insane, because insanity is doing the same thing and expecting a different result. Y'all been doing the same thing. You and your grandmothers and a lot of these people, great grandparents, been living out this fucking behavior, these actions for a long time, and now that it's come to a hedge, y'all so shocked. People are so shocked. And the reason I say it's not all people, because I know people personally that they don't even care what people look like. But I also bring awareness to them that even when you don't want to care, there is still a sense of caring, because how can you not see what's going on or has been going on? And it's not to play the victim or pull the victim card. It's the awareness on seeing integrity is, okay, you being one thing in the house, but then you come outside and you're another thing. Yeah. And so with that, it's like seeing certain communities where you can see on people's faces that they still don't want to, and they don't realize you're blocking your blessings. You have a mouth to feed, right? Right? So now that the tables are turning for a lot of people and a lot of things are being exposed, you did it to yourself. You put that energy out there. This is an energetic thing. And energy don't lie. Now, for a lot of you, I don't give a fuck how much makeup, I don't care how much design, I don't care whoever you are, whatever you try to put on. Again, y'all are the glue to the foundations that y'all been creating. And now that certain things you realizing are crumbling before you, it's because of the seeds you planted. It wasn't of integrity. I knew I was called to places just to still walk in integrity, even if I wasn't liked, even if I wasn't accepted, even if I wasn't embraced. But yet, no matter who it was, I'm still someone's son. I'm still a man. I'm still a human being. I'm still somebody. No matter how much this country, no matter how much, just because you think I'm in your community or walking around here, I'm still some fucking body. And no one's going to tell me any different. I'm still going to walk with my chest out, head up high, fearless. Because when you have kids, you don't allow your kids to see you not be who you are. Because when they grow up, I refuse to let my child live in a shadow or in the shadow of anybody. But y'all don't even realize y'all foundations are crumbling because y'all live in the shadow of other people, of your mothers and fathers, or live in the shadow of other people that don't even uphold integrity or truth or honesty or any foundations of that. So am I afraid for my children's future? Absolutely not. A lot of y'all fear for your children's future because of the seeds you planted, because of your ancestors and what they put out, and you're here to change it, but yet you are held accountable to change that. And what you do, y'all fear that retribution. That's what it is. I know that's the underlining of it. Because as much as y'all want to hide behind your status and so forth, a lot of you fear the consequences of certain things, whether it's economically, energetically, whether it's things that internally, that you don't want to face, or that person meeting this person and don't have the same belief system or religious belief, all this other shit. And you still can't hide from you. So again, empowering message to my mothers. Y'all are the glue still for a lot of things. How you want this thing to end. What they say, it ain't how you begin, it's how you end. Y'all can end this with standing up for yourself, liberating yourself. Especially setting boundaries. Healthier boundaries, being more healthy for yourself. Ask yourself, do you deserve to be healthy for yourself? You want to be healthy and show up for everybody else? But what about you? Do you deserve to be healthy for yourself? Come on now. When the last time you asked yourself that? You do deserve to be healthy for yourself. You do deserve things that are implemented and put in place so that empowers your health and well-being, whether that's food, nutrition, community things. All this shit's been exposed. Leadership and all the way everywhere is being exposed. You're going to see how there are things that never cared about the well-being of our kids, well-being of you as mothers, well-beings of anything connected to that. Because from what I've seen, it's been the opposite of that. I mean, anybody can see that. So, yeah. Is that all? I feel like that's all. Yeah. It's just like y'all can rally up behind and put y'all money towards all these fucking, in the past, like these corporations that support colorism, support division, that support racism, and all these corporations, now that they're crumbling, let's see what y'all put your energy towards now. Because it's going to show you who. I don't care who you are. It's going to show you who. It's going to show you who. And that bite back going to be serious. That karma, that lesson going to be very serious for a lot of people. Because integrity is a real thing. Integrity is a real thing. And I get it. A lot of you, again, what I see, again, especially with my mothers, is like women in general, like y'all have this inner child. Y'all haven't been loved properly. That's what y'all are ignoring. Once you realize you haven't been loved properly and you didn't get the self-love, and that was the beginning of your love for self in your childhood, you will stop jumping into these meaningless fucking relationships that don't reflect who you are, with integrity, with honesty and truth and love. Knowing that person ain't got love for themselves, knowing that they're not wanting to change. So how do you expound upon something? Once you stop there, you will help build the future nations that will honor that will support that. It starts with you. It ends and begins with you. Yeah. I'm encouraging healthy shit, bro. Because I see how toxic, if you want to use the term toxic, you want to use the term dysfunctional masculine. Man, what I've seen me, man, in the mindset, oh no, you have a responsibility. We're gonna give you this daughter, we're gonna give you these kids, we're gonna show you like, you came here to do something differently. You're gonna get it out. Let me clear my throat. Woo! I gotta drink some tea. I'm gonna get this out. It was almost about to get stuck in there. I'm not trying to be your father for a lot of y'all that get offended, but I come in father energy. It's just what it is. Discipline. This is just discipline. Y'all don't want nobody discipline y'all? Oh, I get it. Y'all just want them same dudes that's gonna feed and prey on y'all woundings. I'm not here to do that shit, bro. That's not me. I'm not sitting here to prey on the woundings and see what I can, that's womanizing. That's that energy of womanizing that I had to realize and become aware of. Preying on the wounding, the wounds of women, and then just eventually thinking it won't get exposed. All things are exposed. Energy don't lie. I am not sitting here to prey on the woundings of women and trying to get, be like, oh, this sympathy. No, I have empathy. Compassion. That's how I'm able to see the little girl in y'all. Giving this awareness. It'd be like, you know what? You need to say something that they've never seen and never heard before. This is something the world has never seen and never heard before. Y'all haven't had people that have empathy and then hold y'all accountable, because accountability will allow you to have empathy for yourself. It will allow you to see the parts of yourself that you didn't want to see. And then that's when you start to have empathy for yourself. You start to have compassion for yourself, self-forgiveness and self-acceptance. Then you start seeing the world in a whole different light. But by you not doing that, guess what you're showing these kids? You just grooming them and preparing them into the same shit. And then you complain about it later. I'm not here to do that. I'm not here to be like, oh, send me donations, all the women, because I have something secretively to tell you that you need to know. You need to see this message right here, right now. I'm not here to do that, bro. Because guess what? When you put that energy out, there's going to be expectancy there. Authentic all the way down to the corns. I don't got no corns, but to the T. No. No. For what? That shit has happened long enough. Once you realize that these corporations, especially a lot of these people that have been in positions, like being controlled, like, bro, these motherfuckers, they low vibing ass, they've been preying on y'all. I'm telling you, they have been preying on y'all for so long, women of all creeds and culture. I've seen it enough through women that are darker, especially. And so women that are lighter, they've been preying on you too. Just to let you know, they've been preying on you too. There ain't nothing been in place that have led you to a sense of peace and prosperity or harmony either. I see y'all kids too. Kids be out here doing that's another thing in the community. The disconnection y'all have looks completely different than a woman that grows in a demographic in the hood. It's still energy. It's just in a different, it just looks different. But what I see, y'all have a disconnected emotionally too. Like a deep connection with yourself because y'all so caught up in this housewife thing. Y'all so caught up in being a perfectionism as a woman. Being so perfect. That's the shit. Bro, how can y'all judge darker women? Y'all are literally, it's like imposter syndrome. Y'all literally have been groomed to believe that success is everything, being a successful mother. And I be seeing women sitting back like, whoa. She is literally trying to, okay, daughter, you can have this, da-da-da-da-da. And I'm not saying stuff are not genuine, but bruh, it be like an act. Y'all are great actors too, love. And I don't mean the actors in in Hollywood. I'm talking about y'all are great actors too in your communities, in your community settings. When you go up there and you want to portray like this, but you know deep down and you don't talk about what you have been abused, emotionally abused and physically abused, or, seeing your husband do a lot of things and stuff that you don't talk about, love. And that's different demographics too. I know women that are lighter skin or fairer skin who live in different demographics, who live in trailers or whatever it is. But guess what? They too go through shit. They too have abusive partners or have gone through stuff to where there are not resources out there also available for them because they're not in a certain class. They're not in a certain social class or have a certain tax bracket. Come on, man. So again, I see it. People coming in, oh my God, yes, I'm going, oh yeah, she's so loud. I be like, what in the fucking mental illness, Ronald McDonald? What in the clown? And I be just sitting there like, and a lot of their uncomfortabilities, then a lot of these people never have been around darker people. So it's like, they be looking at me, then I know they looking at me. I'll be doing what I'm doing, and I look at them scared, and it's like a little girl in them has just seen a darker person for the first time. And so they don't know what to perceive. They're so intrigued. Oh my gosh, I never. But what will my husband think? What will my community think? What will the school board think if I interact with a darker boy? But the inner child in them is so enamored or just wants to engage. And once you realize from all of this, it's no different. It's no different. And that's the thing where I see a lot of those women like that in those communities and stuff, and don't think that I be sitting back like, whoa, I've seen your kind. You just in a different skin suit, love. I've seen that kind before. I've seen people darker that are, whether, have this success and, act like they because they have fucking degrees and all this other stuff, and they go around and parade themselves and don't realize it's through a whole wounded ego aspect, and they're wounded and they have to portray a sense of power struggle as if they're much better and bigger and so forth. And I'm like, baby girl, that ain't you. That ain't you. I don't give a fuck about no Fortune 500. I don't care how much money you got, baby. That ain't you. You got father wounds written all over your forehead. Yeah. Yeah. You were probably wounded in a place to where you are unconsciously living out this power struggle or want to come off so masculine. You may look feminine on the outside, but you have coming off so basically coming off in a wounded masculine way, but still the underlining of it is like that femininity is like it's not really in a balanced place. I've seen it. And so when I look at the darker community, certain people, and it's not all demographics, it's just from those places. These are women that, again, have never had things in place. There are things that have been structured just to keep them in a place of, like, dependent on said resources. So there's never nothing where it's almost like they already don't have a sense of security, or they don't, it's there, so they don't feel their attachment to that resource of certain things, whether it's food stamps, whether it's anything connected to something like that. There's no outlet for them to find a sense of safety and security. And when you look at the housing system, a lot of y'all, when you look at the housing system in these big ass communities, it looks like a lot of foreclosures. It looks like a lot of things demographically are happening that people didn't think that would happen. But when you look at the hood, it seems like they're more secure, have more something that's more stable. So it's almost like a double-edged sword. But I'm telling myself, I'm sitting here like, when I look at the different ways, I'm saying like, whoa, just because they have this community and all this other stuff doesn't mean that, I'm talking to a therapist. She was telling me in these places, and shout out to her, she was telling me how in these little small towns that there's a high rate of sexual abuse by cousins, by uncles, by dads. Then she has to go in there at a time, I think she said between the age, just young age, so below 10. And they have to sit down with these kids. So let me tell y'all something, people from the dark community. Baby girl, it's still stuff that goes on there. There's still women that just because they grew up and, they in corporate America, or they feel like they got some little wiggle room. Baby girl, they still got some issues. They still got some internal things. They never told you. They just hidden behind their money. This is no judgment. Oh, baby girl, let me tell you. For people that, the little, the girls that, the money has been passed to your family, you got a dad with, dad that's rich and whatever, da-da-da-da-da. These people still suffer. Look at the solar plexus and the root chakra. Identity, self-identity, self-confidence. These are the people, again, there's no confidence within them because their image is behind those very things. So when those things are not there, they cope with drugs or they go to certain things for certain outlets because they have no sense of self. So, and also going back to, the little young girls that are darker and mothers and stuff. Listen, y'all be surprised how much of y'all can connect and have so much to realize like there is a bridge. And also, it was something else I was getting to. Yeah, women that are lighter, corporate America, whatever it is, whatever. Just because you don't know what's going on in the hood don't mean that them sexual traumas look different. They dress it up better. You gotta realize you listening to all this hippity hop and all these people that encouraging sexual behavior and shit like that, and don't realize like it's predatory behavior. Because I used to always wonder, bro, why they never saying in the songs like, yeah, that's my woman, that's my woman. It's almost like that's my girl, that's my girl. Because when you associate girl, you think of a little girl, like in the sense of a girl being at a certain age. And so I would listen to songs to where I was sitting there like, And you know what I'm saying? Like, you know how certain people are saying songs are like, you know, I'm just assuming, like, does it mean just like, are they represent to a woman? And I know that's what some of them can mean, but I used to be like, when you see some of these adult R&B stars or whatever it is, I was like, you know, is that a connection to the inner child, the inner girl? How they would, it's almost like in a seductive way, you have these little boys that would come out, and everything that they portrayed was to get little girls to idolize them. They will get, these grown men will get little girls to idolize them. And I'm saying this from a father place. It is no way that I will ever, in my mind, tell my child, like a daughter, to, oh, that's such and such. That's such and such. Oh my gosh, look at this person. You should, what? I'm just trying to see why aren't we connecting these things when we realize, when you look at a lot of this music, whether people want to use sexual, secular, or whatever it is, how can we not correlate the fact of how this is still in a way preying on the fucking woundings of women and little girls? Now, some people may object to that, to each their own. I have my perspective, they're going to have their perspective. But I can see why a lot of this culture, when you look at how, when you're talking about encouraging sex or certain stuff, but then I'm saying here, like, then those girls got to recover after that when they realize something so sacred has been, you know, they open themselves up to something and don't realize it. They're opening themselves up, and then you have women now, again, open themselves up. You literally have artists talking about giving drugs to women in songs, bro. I was sitting here thinking, like, what the fuck what was I been listening to? What has been going on? I mean, like, things have to be shifting and changing. And so I'm sitting here like, yo, what? And then it's like the world is a stage, because a lot of them don't even want their own kids listen to their music. So that whole worship culture, I don't care if it's political, all that energy driven towards being like this self-righteousness, it's done. It's done. So going back to, again, for women that don't realize, just because you're not in the hood or in certain demographics, bro, listen. Those little girls got traumas too. Those little dark girls got traumas too. Those women that you wonder why the fuck they're so angry and mad, because they got traumas too. And nobody has ever sat down and listened to them. And no, I can honestly say it's not a vendetta they have against you or they want to be revengeful. They've had nobody to sit down with them. They haven't had a safe place. And it's almost like women that are lighter are unconsciously against them, because y'all don't ever step out and talk about shit. Y'all don't ever sit down with these women. Y'all don't ever ask them what's going on and how they're doing, because you're so afraid of yourself that you won't ever sit down with that woman. You're so afraid of your community and trying to be a part of something that you won't sit down with them. You're so afraid of that. A lot of you know who you are. You're so afraid of that. But you'll put on the front in front of their daughters when you want them to cheerlead and when you want them to be a part of said certain things or whatever it is. But you never have a healthy conversation with their mother, because you just stimulously believe that your anger, you don't realize some people that are darker in this country or certain environments, they actually believe that your anger as a Caucasian woman or a lighter woman is more justifiable than hers. Because how dare she show her anger? Because typically in a country that has structural racism, that has done everything towards certain things darker, people have went through, you would get more a pat on the hand than she would. But y'all don't want to bridge that gap to realize, like, now things are changing. There's an expectancy there of people not to still feel furious about what has happened to them or a sense of underlying pain. And then seeing again that darker woman, her fear is for her child to end up behind bars, or her fear is for her child not to be shot by a policeman that don't look like her, that may be your husband or something like that. Anything correlates to that, because y'all been given so much of a program, women that are lighter, and y'all only watch TV and news and shit, but you never go and engage with these people. You automatically assume that we're all the same with anger, or we have this anger towards you because there's some unaligning with slavery and all this other stuff. And it's beyond that. A lot of people are past that. And a lot of stuff that we know, a lot of that deeper, on a deeper level, a lot of that isn't even true, aren't true. Because both people, darker and lighter, have had their hands in things like that. And they still do. Because what are you teaching? You're teaching a different fucking way in programming to your kids to get in a said position, use your authority, whether it's your father's or grandmother's family business, and literally treat that person that is darker no different than any other thing in the past or similarly to that. That's my perspective. Just saying, how is it? What has not evolved? Just because y'all wear different, just because people wear, we know where a lot of stuff originated. So a lot of you now are surprised that a lot of these things economically and a lot of these things are crashing because y'all have, this shit has been rooted. Y'all don't want to, y'all don't want to accept that. And realize, like, you can no longer hide behind your money and religion. People know the jig is up. When it comes to things like that, I literally talked to a guy about something like that. When he knew his grandfather was racist or just had this hatred towards darker people, but yet he called himself Christian. The jig is up. Y'all built these foundations and hid behind these things. The jig is up. It's the same thing with darker people. Y'all can no longer use these, keep trying to use these narratives of, what no longer exists. I mean, what no longer is playing out in your world right now. These victim mentalities, victim stories. That goes for everybody. Like, what are y'all going to do differently? Is what I'm saying. That's what I'm encouraging. How are we going to break this generational chain or realize, like, okay, what are you here to do differently? You can sit back, but still, what you put out will eventually return. And a lot of you don't even realize, like, a lot of what is returning has a lot to do with what has ancestrally have followed you, what's generationally have followed you. And we want to ignore that. No. These are things playing out. And this is what it is. So, just because you don't know what's going on across town don't mean that these little girls, these mothers, these people aren't going through things that are similarly to yours. Just because status and career and skin color, like, come on, y'all. So that's all I got to say. I feel like, yeah. But yeah, man. That's probably more to come. More gonna be shared. But yeah. Again, that music thing was deep for me. It's like, whoa. It's like, I be disgusted about a lot of stuff now. It's definitely a shift, because it's like, you can tell things are going, when you recognize a lot of these patterns, it's going from how, again, the preying on the wounding of women. Y'all don't even realize how that shit is played out through music. A lot. Literally preying on the woundings of, wanting to treat you like less than you are. Wanting to call you certain things and do certain things and encouraging that. And literally, people get, like, fueled by that. Like, money, all this other stuff. And that's not even who they are. And ask them, do they want their mother or their daughter to be treated like that? Or would they, artists, like, come on now. Like, you can see the energy that they're pushing out there. I'm going to sit here, like, I look at them, I'm like, bro, okay. Next. No one cares, because what are you really pushing to our little girls and little boys? What are you really doing? The shift is here. It is what it is. Energy cannot be hidden. I mean, energy don't lie. you're going to see a lot of stuff being exposed, and a lot of people fading to the back. So y'all take care of yourself. Peace and blessings. Shalom.